If you've made it to here and you're still listening and watching, then you probably want to know all the nitty-gritty details. What's the approach? What modalities have I studied? And I'd be delighted to share more. I just simplify the approach into 3 steps, which I just call align, transform, and evolve. And there really isn't too much of a science to it. It just feels like those are the natural steps. Alignment can be, what intention are we starting with? What energies do we want to align to? Come into alignment all the time. And the way that I've outlined the steps in my being is that it's not linear. It's not that we're always doing one and then this and then that. They're kind of facets of the whole process. We are aligning, and in that process we can transform and shift energies. We are transforming and shifting energies, and therefore we are evolving. So it feels like they are pieces all coming together. But alignment allows me to share the importance of intention setting and clarity of what we are desiring, visioning, and tuning to as well. Transformation is the shifting of energies, moving from one state to another, from one place to another, from one reality and timeline to another. That's the transformation process. The alchemy, the magician. We are literally connecting to what is possible and all the energies that we align and attune to, and shifting it into the state, to the state, towards where we want to be. And ideally, we want to be in the transformation direction of evolution. I say evolution because evolution to me implies that there is a state of higherness. Not that lower is worse, just that we want to be evolving. We don't want to be transforming, changing state, or shifting energy, but taking a step backwards. So evolution to me involves and implies that there is a state of higher being. So we want to be constantly in a state of what are we being aware of, what are we aligning to, what are we actually shifting, and is that towards an ascension path? Is that towards a higher good? Is that towards the collective elevation of consciousness? So those are the steps and the approach that I take. In this lifetime, I have studied a few things. So aside from my corporate career and past, where I'm a chartered accountant, double majored in finance and accounting, so I definitely come from that very pragmatic world. I also studied over, I don't know, by now, probably 3,000-ish hours of different holistic modalities and trainings as part of my own self-healing, and to upskill and to train to be a practitioner and to be a therapist and space holder and other things. So yoga was first on my path, and even understanding yogic philosophies in my first years of studying yoga, I was amazed at these new ways of thinking. I never knew about yogic philosophies, and so that really opened my horizons and broadened my perspectives of just what was possible as I began this journey of learning about myself. And so I am a yoga teacher. I'm very fond of doing yin yoga, and I still love incorporating yoga nidra in a lot of my practices as well. Through yoga, I quickly fell into more energy practices, and I became a Reiki master as well. So learning to work more with the body, hands-on, and perceiving a bit more of energy. And actually I learned with 2 different teachers who just showed me that different healers and teachers absolutely can teach in different ways. And I learned different things. Studying the body and then the energy, I also went into wanting to learn more about the mind. And that's when I felt really called to study hypnotherapy. And I studied probably over 500 in-person hours, because it's not just, learning how to wave a little pendulum or clock to make you do what I want you to do. Studying hypnotherapy was about learning about altered states of consciousness and how to use it, how to apply it in a therapeutic setting. And I find that there's really big treasures in hypnotherapy and accessing that subconscious, understanding that we are all full of beliefs and patterns and conditioning. So I often use some hypnotherapy techniques as well. And that was where the first training of how to use voice came about as well, how to vary our voice and allow people to enter into deeper states. So I really am a big fan of hypnotherapy. A lot of my own spiritual deepenings happened when I was initiated into shamanism. So I was called to come into Australia because of a course, and it was a shamanic training. But in line with personality, I like to do things intensely with commitment and seriously. And so not only did I enroll in one shamanic school, but over the course of 3 years, I actually trained with 3 different shamanic schools and traditions for slightly different purposes. 2 of the schools were here in Australia and 1 was in Chile. And so really understanding even in one category and area, modality of training, you can be so vast and different in application. Same with yoga, same with hypnotherapy, and likely with all modalities. The application of each school and training, as well as individually as a practitioner, can be so different. So I was exposed to a lot of different practices within the shamanic traditions. And again, I also use a lot of shamanic techniques even now, whether that's allowing me to tune into the field or connecting to source or being a hollow bone and being a channel. These are really important skills for me as a practitioner as I bring it into session with people. QiGong is a really big one. Now, I feel like every modality, I'm going to say it's really important and an integral piece of things, but it must be because they were integral pieces of what I'm studying and how I activated to be all that I be. In the beginning, I learned a lot of QiGong forms that were more movements and form. And later, in recent years, is more QiGong in the energy cultivation, literally training energy to bring more energy into the field, to invoke frequencies, to build and stream more light into our being. My master calls it applied hermetics. Hermetics is based on universal laws, right? Hermetic principles. So QiGong is merely the vehicle and the tool in which we can experience and literally, viscerally understand the laws of the universe. And this kind of QiGong has been instrumental in helping me to cultivate more energy and light as a light worker and practitioner. And important to bring all the pieces together because we are body, mind, and spirit. So what are the things we need to do for the body? What are the things we need to do for the mind? What are the things we need to do on a spiritual aspect? We are aligning to all the parts of us to be a better human, to be a better embodiment of the cosmic being that we are. So QiGong is also an important part of my own practices and a course that I offer to share with other practitioners and light workers. I also do have a background in counseling, and that came about because I needed to study here in Australia. And also I thought, oh, this is the closest thing mainstream to what I do. And in having completed counseling, look, I know my lane. And I know that definitely the work that I offer is, at the very least, it's holistic, but very much there is a veer and a pivot towards the spiritual side because we can't deny that we're spiritual beings. And the sooner that we can acknowledge that and cultivate and deepen our relationship with spirit, then the more we can actually be whole and the more that we can access more of our power and all of the potential and ways that we can be. So yes, my work is definitely very spiritual, but it's very grounded and practical and pragmatic to help us to be better humans in this lifetime. So I hope that that helps clarify and answer some questions as to the modalities and techniques that I might use, and have comfort that everything is guided by spirit, by something greater than just this human being speaking to you. Sending you much love and hoping to see you very soon.